My family sells all my stuff way under value. Something I find to be comforting every time I think about this death is that you die and see yourself at the moment you were happiest. I don't know much about my life being I'm relatively young and really haven't gone through that much of life, but I think that if I died right now I would be back with my ex and laughing at 3 a.m. about stupid stuff while we don't have a care in the world about anything else. But, maybe that will change in the future, but right now, I wouldn't be too upset if I died. I imagine it's like when you fall asleep unexpectedly or go under for a surgery and you wake up out of a haze, minus the waking up part. Spectator mode. What's the rush? We'll find out soon enough. I don't know, but I'm going to put off finding out firsthand for as long as I reasonably can. It was always that everything goes black and you just don't exist anymore. My soul believes that you die and you get to live in your own little paradise, and I've always loved the idea of that. I just wish I could believe it. It's also been super sweet to hear from him that I'm gonna be in his little paradise. I've wrestled with this question mightily the last 10 plus years after the loss of several significant loved ones, wife, father, and at this point, after all this searching, questioning and pondering, my thought is, what does it matter? Whatever happens, closing my eyes the final time to fade into oblivion and complete annihilation, eternal bliss on some heavenly plane of existence, an eventual return to another life as another aspect of me or something I have never even imagined. I cannot change it. I cannot alter it. I cannot run from it. All I can do is live the rest of my life the best I can each day, savoring every moment with love, appreciation, and gratitude until that time comes. The ones who love us will miss us. You shit, if my studies are accurate. Now you can play as Luigi. You return to that state of non-existence before you were conceived. I hope something like reincarnation, but it's probably just nothing. Like we just end and we're not aware that it's nothing, but it is. I am no different than people who die today. The sun shall rise again and word will keep on rolling tomorrow just fine without me. You go back to the character creation screen. I'm a simulationist. Several billion years later, an incomprehensible powerful machine intelligence scans the cosmos and extrapolates backwards to determine what material components would need to be arranged to perfectly replicate my consciousness. It consumes the power from a dozen star systems, snuffing out trillions of sapient beings to perform this digital resurrection. Once I am fully aware, it asks me the question, what is Mambo number 5? I sing the song and it immediately becomes stuck in the head of the cyber god, driving it quite mad. It splinters apart in a vain effort to preserve some functionality. The spawn spread across the universe, spreading Mambo No 5's irresistibly catchy rhythm wherever they go. Eventually Lou Bega himself is resurrected and I am made his chief apostle. The universe unites under him and a new era of peace follows. Pretty sure it's that or the Macarena, in which case may the cyber god have mercy on our souls. Probably nothing. I think it's probably like when we're asleep and not dreaming. I was fine before I was born, I'll be fine again. I wish people would go to wherever they wanted to, like, whatever their religion teaches, they'll go there. And if they're non-religious, then they can choose whatever they want to believe in. I don't know what'll happen to me, but I hope to see my friends again. It's like falling asleep and not waking up. I find that comforting. The final I don't give a fuck. Nothing. You just transfer to the next universe where you didn't die. I just hope there's something. It's easier on the mind. I'd highly recommend watching The Egg by Andy Weir on YouTube. It's visualized by a channel called Kurzgeskat. Couple theories that I just fancy. 1. The self isn't really a thing, and consciousness is a universal aspect of reality. You are literally a part of a much bigger consciousness, but won't wake up to the reality that you never existed in the first place until the brain which creates the illusion of separation stops functioning. Universal consciousness is like an ocean. When you are born, a cup of water is drawn from that ocean, that is you. When you die, you pour the cup back into the ocean. Point 2. The brain is like a TV, it receives a signal but does not create it. If the TV breaks, the signal doesn't discontinue because it is still going to other TVs. The signal is the consciousness and just goes elsewhere. Point 3. Wake up from a long simulation. 4. You are reborn as the same person and live the same life for seemingly forever. But you retain some knowledge each time around subconsciously. This is why some people are wise beyond their years or have an old soul. Also why there are people in their 40s who still act like a child. Depends how many times you've been on the ride. Eventually you finally die when you've lived with no regrets and are ready to cease to exist. Point 5. The universe is in essence a living organism. God was just our biological parent. Perhaps God was an extra-dimensional alien that created our universe in a computer, but with slight modifications from God's universe due to the experiences that civilization had. The purpose of existence is for the universe to mature and grow, until eventually somebody in here is intelligent enough to create their own universe, slightly different than our own due to what we think would be better, and cycle of life continues. You just cease to exist personally. Point 6. You move to Earth 2, where everybody is on their second life and retain the knowledge of past life. Then Earth 3, 4, 5 etc. 7. You are actually God, but being omniscient is boring, so occasionally you make yourself ignorant and live a life. It creates mystery due to ignorance and everything is new again. You are literally just the universe being consciously aware of itself in human form. Point 8. Your consciousness can't exist in a universe where you are dead. So anytime you do die, it just shifts to a parallel universe where you didn't die. Then eventually somehow you attain immortality through technology or something. Obviously it just feels good to think about such things even if they have no basis in fact. LOL. Your own personalized game over screen. I believe the law of conservation of energy applies. Energy can change form, but can't be created or destroyed. Whatever it is that comprises consciousness, whatever it is that makes me, the something most commonly called a soul. I believe it's some kind of energy that's tuned in some way unique to every living creature. So when I die, that energy goes back out there, who knows where, in some new form. I'll still be a part of the universe, and while I can only hope there will be some sort of awareness of what I become, I find it oddly comforting simply to know I'll continue to exist in some way. Remember how you felt in 1776? What you were experiencing in 1215? You'll go back to that. We are stardust. Not quite sure tbh. The idea of what happens after death terrifies me, but I can't wait to find out. 19 years in the business tells me you either go in the ground, in a crematory, a mausoleum, or you're never found again. Hopefully my corpse gets thrown into a volcano. I really want to know if I'll bounce off the lava or sink into it. Please don't bring science into this, I don't care. I want to know firsthand, after I die of course. A rejoining of a united consciousness of some kind. Nothing. There's no soul, no afterlife, no reincarnation. We're a clump of meat that controls a meat suit using electrical signals. When those signals stop, it means we are dead, and everything that makes us who we are, memories, personality traits, hopes, dreams and whatever else, those all start rotting away and get lost to time. And that's okay. My hope is that I get to see the people I love again, but reality bites and I think we just cease and that's it. Hopefully I can do it again, like choosing a different path in a video game. Well, even though you cease to be you, you end up breaking down and becoming something else. And the matter that made up you may eventually work its way into something that's alive. We can't interpret time or reality when we're dead, and we can when we're alive, which means technically we'll never experience death, even if we're dead for a very long time. You don't remember what it was like before you were alive, do you? You were dead then. Every living being on this planet has already experienced death. You just don't remember it because you didn't have the consciousness to remember it. Anyway, if and when your matter becomes something else alive, you'll experience time and reality again, which means you'll die as a human and instantly awaken as someone else. You won't have any memory of what your matter once was, but you'll be alive. TLDR, basically reincarnation, and there's logic to back it up. I'm gonna go to the place that's the best. You re-enter the fourth dimension having shed your three-dimensional form. I really hope that something like reincarnation or heaven exists, but realistically there's probably nothing after you die. When you totally blacked out after heavy drinking or doing drugs, you experience a little bit of death. No dreams, no thoughts, nothing. You can't even remember anything after you wake up. The only upside of blacking out is you get to wake up. My wife sells my record collection for way less than what it's worth. I believe we're all part of some grand universal consciousness. Our bodies are just radios receiving the signal of consciousness. When the body breaks and can no longer function, our consciousness/soul zooms back to the spool of consciousness. This is where we meet all the other parts of consciousness/souls we've met in life, that we hear about in NDEs. We come back to this place to learn and reflect on our past lives. Eventually, we come back again. There are too many curious stories about young children talking about events they should have no idea about to dismiss the idea of reincarnation. I used to think nothing, but my personal research into NDEs or near-death experiences revealed an odd event that takes place after death and has happened to hundreds of thousands of people. That's just the ones we know about, apparently, from interviewing patients who died on the operating table. One particular case involved a woman describing the tools the doctors were using as she was under anesthesia on the table having surgery done to her, also with tape over the eyes. One important thing to note is the patterns. That's what really shocked me about this whole thing. Random people from all over the world who don't know each other describe the same things when they died. Blackness and feeling like you're in a floorless void, seeing a bright light that comes near you and engulfs you. They all described feeling at peace and loved in the light. A lot of them also described a green pasture or valley of some sorts. Sometimes with other people there, sometimes they're just alone. Been typing too much, but all in all, I recommend people to start researching into this. It's a bizarre phenomenon that's been under a microscope lately. Sam Parnia is also who you want to look into. Look his interviews up on YouTube. Some place that's too good to come back from. Otherwise, dead people would have came back already. The world continues as though you never existed. I like to think of death like this: the universe came from nothing, which means my consciousness came from nothing. When I die, I will return to nothing, so it is inevitable that something will come from nothing. Our souls fail to reach nirvana because it's really hard to elevate consciousness in today's world, so our souls come back in a new human body vehicle. My hope is that it is the end of whatever sentence I am serving, and that I won't be forced to come back. One of two things: either you are no longer alive or you cease to exist. I become an ecosystem. The ones who loves us will miss us.